Yeah, with the Maharaja's Packard 8-cylinder Packard. That's what the American cars were best known for. Talking about 8-cylinder cars and talking about Bugatti Type 57s, well, this is just another level. Probably one of the most valuable and desirable pre-war motor cars in the world. 1937 Bugatti Type 57 SS. Not for sports, but S for surbaissé, which, for those of you that speak French, means lower, super, super low. Well, look at this car, and it might not seem very low to you, but for 1930s, to make a car that was riding so low, already at the time, they were thinking about design, about aerodynamics, and about how you can get the center of gravity lower on these cars. The 57S was originally ordered by a family in the UK, and it was custom built 4-seat Grand Routier. I mean, it is a most stunning, stunning design, bodied by Corsica of London, so a UK coach builder, and this is really one of the most spectacular and one of the most important Bugatti Type 57s in the world. I remember when this car was at auction, sorry, I get very excited about it, and it was coming out of a long-term ownership, and it's just been restored. It was I want to say a wreck, but it was in need of some love. And now to see it here in front of you, for the first time I've seen it since the restoration, it is magnificent. The detail is phenomenal. I've got to congratulate you on the restoration you did, because it's stunning.
As you say, Max, it is the rediscovered Bugatti Type 57S, owned by Lord Bamford. We're indebted to him for bringing it in, driven by Steve Clark. You have won your class. Congratulations. You are now in the super final, guys.
When the car pulls away, have a look at the exhausts. The tiny little 8-piece shooter exhausts, charmingly called Dulce because of the number plate that it's worn ever since you. Oh, there we go. Everything under control. Well, you talk about some pretty unbelievable Bugattis. You want to see about some unbelievable design? Well, look at this. The Type 46 Super Profilé. So, super profile by Jarvis. This is the baby Bugatti Royale. The Royale was the biggest, it was the most imposing, it was the king of the road, only for the ultra rich and famous. The 46 isn't very far behind it. I mean, look at the design of this car. Look at the rake on the steering wheels. Look at that streamlined body, and look at the fenders that stick out further than the actual rear bonnet of the car. And you've got to know, this was Jean Bugatti's personal styling. He styled the Super Profilé himself. He designed it. And one thing I'd like to point out is that in 1930, you've seen all the other cars, there were no alloy wheels. Now it just makes the car look modern, but look at that. Jean Bugatti was the first person to invent and put alloy wheels on a car with the brakes that are mounted inside the wheel. It might look normal to you now, but everyone else was still using spokes. The ultimate on the road, the Bugatti Type 46, and with this body, it is just absolutely phenomenal. It looks like it's moving without even churning the wheels. Jean Bugatti's personal styling. Roland, thank you very much for being the car. I love it. Looks fantastic. Pretty good, isn't it? Looks better from the rear than it does from the front. We should have had him reverse up onto the onto the stage. Rolls-Royce. 2530, sorry. A coupe. They're very excited. Oh, very excited to see somebody, yeah. Waving at the judges. I think they're trying to get a prize. Gurney Nutting coupe. You might have seen a Rolls-Royce like this one in movies like Indiana Jones or Death on the Nile. believe it or not, it was considered to be the baby Rolls-Royce, the smaller of all the Rolls-Royces. Now, I was telling you about wheels earlier on, and you'll see that this car has discs, so don't be fooled. They are not wire wheels or spokes as we might think. They're actually just discs that were put on top of the wire wheel. Gurney Nutting, an English coach builder that was one of the most desirable body makers of the time on Rolls Royces, and things that are really appreciated today. Notice the running boards, how they're not just flat and straight, but they actually have a curve to them. And notice the rear mounted spare that's actually fully enclosed. These are all difficult things to do and signs of luxury. So the Gurney Nutting 2530, the baby Rolls Royce, if you like.
And you guys, congratulations, you've got the honourable mention prize in this class. Mr. Rajiv Kerr, not driving it, I don't think, but congratulations on your second entry and prize today. Thank you.
Coming all the way from Romania as well, India, Romania, America. You've probably covered all the countries of the world soon.
We're doing our best, Max.
Laurentius Straccialat has brought us the magnificent Bugatti Type 57 Atalante. Not just any 57 Atalante, 57C. C stands for compressor. So this car would be an 8-cylinder Bugatti that has been fitted with an extra compressor for extra power. And another special feature about this Atalante is the rolling back roof. So very, very rare with this opening roof in the back. These are real 1930s Bugatti colors. Now, keep in mind, this was about as good as it got in 1934. Well, just look at the car. Isn't it just magnificent with the rear covered spares? Only 17 of these cars were built. And you know what? 4 of them still reside with Bugatti in Molsheim. So to have one here at Salon Privé is a real honor. It is a Art Deco work of art. And again, on that Bugatti Type 57 chassis. So not only does it look good, the performance of the car is second to none.
Thank you, Max. Driven by Laurentius Straccialat, a firm favourite here at Salon Privé, with daughter Anastasia in the car. So we better pass the Pommery across Anastasia to father. Well done, Laurentius. Thank you so much. A class winner here at Salon Privé again now in the super final. Yet another Bugatti.
Thank you, Laurentius. If you've got time, have a look at the interior, and it's got this chrome steering that that comes out at you. It's quite something. Look at that round tail, no bumpers. But staying with Bugatti. You thought, hello Peter, hello Mary. You thought a 57C Atalante was a rare car. Well, I am sure you have never seen this Bugatti before. 1951 now, so post-war Bugatti, and you can see that the design has evolved completely. The wheels are now faired in, and it's a much more akin to what we like to think of as a car today. Only 7 of these cars were ever built, and this was an effort to save Bugatti. Post-war, there was a lot of damage to the factory, and not many resources, so Bugatti came out with the Type 101. This is a cabriolet, obviously, thinking that they could revive the company, but obviously not. It was unfortunately doomed. Only 7 of these cars were built, and I'll tell you something else. They used again that Type 57 chassis. You see, they didn't have the time or the money to develop a new car and a new chassis, so what they did is they went back into their factory, see what they had left, took an old pre-war chassis and clothed it with a much more modern body style by Gangloff. So it's the post-war Bugatti, which was also the last of the line of Bugattis.
Thank you, Max. A massive thank you to Peter and Merle Mullin for bringing the car to Salon Privé, driven by Peter and Mary Reeve. Thank you, guys, and please stand our best to the Mullins. Thank you. Big round of applause, please, to Peter and Merle Mullin with their beautiful Bugatti 101.
Right then, changing class. Obviously, Roland Deuce wanted to really win something, so he thought he'd put 2 cars into one concours. XK140. Well, one that we all know well. This is post-war, obviously. Notice how similar it is in design to the Bugatti, the Type 101. This is the evolution of the XK120, one of the more successful Jaguar designs. You'll all remember that the XK120 was deemed to be able to do 120 miles an hour, hence the name XK120. Well, this is the evolution of the XK120 with some very small refinements to the car and some small refinements made for the US market, but still with that amazing, amazing performance. That Jaguar engine is simply phenomenal. It's the same engine that then went into D-types and E-types that you saw racing at Le Mans. Well, here is the very early beginnings in this 2-seat open-top sports car. Whoop, looks like you might be getting a bit hot. I'll let you get on. Thank you very much for bringing the XK140 to us here at Salon Privé. BMW 507. Still in the post-war open class. Now, isn't this magnificent? The 507 was an effort by BMW to break into the American market. Think of the 1950s, BMW didn't have a sporty car that they could sell to the US market, and it was Max Hoffman who convinced the board of BMW to make something sporty, and they designed something specifically for him to sell in America. The idea was that they would be making at least 1,000 cars, selling at least 1,000 cars per year, with a maximum production of 3,000 or 4,000 cars during the whole production line. The design was magnificent with those center lock wheels, but unfortunately it was not to be. The cars went to America, Max Hoffman started selling them, and a mere 252 were sold. BMW reportedly lost money with every single car that they made. As a matter of fact, in 1959, BMW almost went completely bankrupt because of the BMW 507 and had to be saved by the government. It was their idea to compete against the 300 SL Roadster, but unfortunately it didn't work. But now we have a car that we can adore, which was extremely rare, and that looks magnificent. So I really love the 507, as you can see. But don't go away yet.
Thank you, Max. So again, you've won the honourable mention here. Your Class D post-war open. Congratulations. Thank you very much for bringing it.
The main reason the car wasn't successful wasn't really because of the design. It was just became too much money. As a matter of fact, you might have seen some pictures of people like Elvis Presley had a BMW 507, or racing drivers like Hans Stuck. So pretty special, I have to say. Well done for getting one here to Salon Privé. 1950s. Now, how is this for a different type of car? You definitely haven't seen one of these before, and I would say that most people will think, what kind of car is that? Well, let me tell you. I'll bore you to death. 1952, I do like an Italian car. Lancia Aurelia B52. Coupe, of course, designed by Vignale. How about that? Well, first of all, Lancia Aurelia, an extremely advanced car, independent suspension all around with that V6 engine, which was the first production car to have a V6 engine, inboard brakes and all that boring stuff. But more exciting is look at the design of this Vignale. You see, Lancia wanted to give the opportunity to their buyers to buy a chassis and have it designed, have it clothed by whoever they want. And this car, the Aurelia 2000, went to Vignale, and it's like the jet age from the 1950s. Look at the front, it looks like an aeroplane. Look at the air intakes in the back of the car. And look at the instruments if you've got time. Vignale, typical, a lot of chrome and a lot of ornate bumpers, the inset lights at the back. This was the jet sets, the 1950s space age design of Vignale.
Thank you, Max. The judges love this. Stephen Bruno brought the car here. We're delighted that it has won its class. Congratulations, the class winner.
Congratulations, class winner, all the way from America, from Stephen Bruno. And Andrew, you're not going to go away with that bottle of Pommery champagne. I think Pommery wants to give it to the class winners, not for you to keep. Well done, all the way from America, Stephen Bruno with the Aurelia 2000, the bespoke designed Lancia Aurelia. Grazie mille, bravo e complimenti. Post-war closed. When you look at it from the front, you might think, yes, I know this car, it's an Aston Martin. Then you look at it from the side and you think, hang on a second, that doesn't look like an Aston Martin, let alone that doesn't look like a DB5. Well, that's because it's a very special DB5. It's one of 12 DB5 shooting brakes. Now, we've just been having a long discussion about shooting brake and what shooting brake should be and is, and one of my fellow judges has educated me that shooting brake was initially intended for people that went shooting. It was initially designed on a Rolls Royce, this exact shape, so you could have stools and probably a cabinet with some whiskey in the back, and when you were tired of shooting, you could have a brake, shooting brake, on the back of your Rolls Royce and have a glass of whiskey. Basically, that concept was taken forward, and here we're in the 1960s. Shooting brake? Well, actually, David Brown built the first one of these cars, the shooting brake, and it was commissioned for his wife, must be love, and he wanted a car that his wife could put the riding saddle, horse riding saddle, in the back of without any issue. Obviously, it wouldn't fit into a DB5, so he commissioned the first of the shooting brake Aston Martins. I think it's an absolutely magnificent design. I'm a big fan of shooting brakes, whether it's a shooting brake for shooting, whether it's shooting brake. It's basically, no insult, no, I'm not being mean about your car, but a utilitarian Aston Martin. It's not a van, it's a utilitarian Aston Martin, and I love a shooting brake, and I love your Aston Martin DB5 shooting brake.
Thank you, Max. The judges loved it as well. Honourable mention in your class. Congratulations, guys, and thank you for bringing it.
Well done, guys. Congratulations. Bentley R-Type Continental. I was going to say lightweight saloon by H.J. Mulliner, but the noise it made when it came up the ramp, it didn't feel very lightweight. But believe it or not, Bentley and Rolls-Royce decided to go to Mulliner to build these cars because exactly for that reason. You see, Mulliner was able to build a body without using any ash frame. Back in the 1950s, bodybuilders were still using ash frame, which was really quite heavy, and it made the cars more heavy, whereas H.J. Mulliner was able to do it with a thin metal structure. So this was for lighter weight and higher performance. So this is the R-Type Continental, R-Type, well, the performance model, and Continental, well, it was designed for traveling onto the continent. From here, from the UK, high-speed motoring in luxury, of course, traveling through the continent. You can imagine leaving from here, from Blenheim, and heading straight to Monte Carlo with that blue blazer and lovely co-driver that you have. I could just see you going down to the Riviera, and I'll have you know, this was the fastest four-seat production car in the world when it was new. How about that for a useless fact I can tell you?
Thanks, Max. I've got another fact, but certainly not useless. The driver, Mr. Harry Clark, you might know of him as the ramp master at Pebble Beach Concours. So he was very busy a few weeks ago. Lovely to have Harry and Heather here. Thank you so much for bringing up. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The fastest four-door saloon of its day. And believe it or not, it was supposed to be lightweight as well. Raul, maybe we should have Raul come up here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a Siata. It's a Dyna Sport. It's a Berlinetta, so Italian. Berlinetta means small coupe, designed by Bertone, Italian coach builder. So there's a lot of Italy going on in here. There's only 20 of these cars built. So you see, at the time you could buy a Siata as a coupe or as a berlinetta, as you see it here, or as a barchetta, so an open two-seater. Based out of Turin, the Bertone, the coach build, is also based out of Turin, all built on a Fiat base, which is all very nice and nice facts. But the best bit about this particular car was that Raul Sangiorgi, who's one of our judges, drove here from Belgium. Where is he? Or Holland, or Belgium. From Belgium, just making sure. Careful, almost made a big mistake. From Belgium, he drove here in this car 500 kilometers, 300 miles, and he arrived in perfect form. Look at him, he's still smiling and very happy. Let's see the man that drove 300 miles in the Seattle to come here. There he is. He drove this car 300 miles to be here, has done the tour, and he's still undecided whether he's going to drive back or not, because I think he's quite tired now. No, of course he's going to drive back, right? And he's going to drive 300 miles back home.
And just for clarification, Max, this one sits as what we call a hors concours, so outside of the concours, not judged, because of course it's owned by one of our very selected judges here. So thank you, Ralph, for bringing it. Many congratulations.
And well done for, oh, hello, Davide. Well done for driving it over, because I think all the judges I always hear them talking and saying that they want, or we all want, these cars to be driven. I know we're here at a concours, but what we want to see is cars that are driven and that are used. That's when they really come alive. So enjoy your 300 miles home. Thank you very much. I hear something meaty coming along. Hansen Jaguar. Hello boys, another car with good brakes. The Hansen, Walter Hansgen was a very, very successful racing driver. Well, this is what really started his racing career. He was racing in America, and he wanted to go and win and beat the Jaguar C-types and the American cars, but he couldn't afford a real big Jaguar C-type, so he bought an XK120. And he started working on it, and he modified it and made it faster and faster, rebodied it, more aerodynamic. Look at where the rear wheel was fitted, because that's all that he could afford. He couldn't afford a C-Type, so he bought this XK120 and raced it as you see it here. He went on to be a very successful driver. He became a Cunningham Works driver, if I'm not mistaken. And have you all seen the Ford versus Ferrari movie at Le Mans? Well, unfortunately, he never got the acclaim that he should have done, because he was actually one of the Ford GT40 drivers in that movie and in the history of the Ford versus Ferrari wars. Unfortunately, he died in a GT40 testing at Le Mans, but he was a very successful driver and engineer, because this, what you see here, is what he built and created to go winning in racing in America. I hope that summarizes it well enough. That's about it. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you for bringing the 1952 Hansgen Jaguar, the XK120. Now, I was looking at this car earlier on, and I was told that less is more. And less is definitely more when it comes to the little Seata 300 BC Barchetta by Bertone. I mean, isn't that a sweet little car? You feel like, I want to just bring it home for my son. But that's actually a real car, and it's very fast as well. Believe it or not, this car did the Mille Miglia retrospective, and there are no frills. Have a look at the dashboard, these beautiful Jaeger instruments, about 3 of them. That's all you need to drive a car, because it's got to be light and fast. Called a barchetta. Well, barchetta in Italian means small boat. And the idea with these cars was that if you were to put it in the water, the line of the water would just be below the driver's door, and it would look like, or does look like, a little boat. Of the same family as the coupe that you saw that drove here 300 miles, this one didn't drive 300 miles here. Might have been a bit longer in an open top car, but a very sweet little Seata 300 BC Barchetta with, might I add, a compressor as well.
Thank you, Max. And Jan, thank you for ringing up, but please accept your prize, the honourable mention in Class F Sports Races. Congratulations, Jan Dereur. Thank you.
Oh, that was a close one. Coming up, talking about less is more and little cars. Glenn and Claire Smith in the, hi Glenn, hi Claire, in the 356 GS GT Porsche Coupe. Called the Carrera, well, because it had that mythical 4-cam engine. You see, 356's Porsche went to race in the Carrera Panamericana in Mexico, and they were giant killers. They beat everyone, and after that, they took on the nickname of Carrera thanks to that win. And imagine, that nickname has stuck for 356s, for 911s. How often do we refer to a Porsche as a 911 Carrera? Well, it all came from the success of this tiny, tiny little car at the Carrera Panamericana. And the best thing is, the Glenn and Claire use this car all the time. You can see it's been a veteran of the Mille Miglia retrospective. I think whether you or your previous owner did Tour Auto in it, so this is a car that drives, and even drives around London, if I'm not mistaken. There we go. So if you see the little red Porsche driving around London, wave and say, I saw you at Salon Privé. Congratulations, guys. Well done. We're having a lot of discussion as to, it's like a race. Who gets to go on the podium next? And next we have a very, very, very special Porsche 911. Don't be fooled, because it looks like a cream-colored 911. Well, let me tell you, it's a very special cream-colored 911. You see, this is the predecessor to the 911R. You've all seen the marketing for the new 911R. Everyone wants a 911R. It's the best of the best in the world of 911s. Well, this is where it all started. First, there was the 911R. They only made 20 of them with very limited success. And then they thought, hang on a second, we need to take one of our production cars and go racing with it. Well, the customers of Porsche said that you should go racing with it. And they took a 911T, basically took everything off it. There's nothing left of a 911T, and put all the good bits, all the lightest bits, and turned it into the 911TR. And it had huge success in GT racing. This actual car went to Le Mans in 1968 and in 1969. Isn't it amazing? This actual car drove at Le Mans, and if I'm not mistaken, 11th in class and 2nd in class. Sorry, other way around. 2nd in class and 11th overall. Pretty impressive, isn't it? This actual car, this is as good as it gets from these early 911 racing cars. Lightweight, powerful, with all the right goodies. And I can tell you, if it comes from Philip, it's going to be pretty good, because he knows a thing or two about 911s. Thank you very much, Philip, for taking your car here. I love it. It's fantastic. And I always learn something about 911s when I see him. Got to sit next to him at lunch, you see. I see you skipped the queue. Ladies and gentlemen, the 1965 Ferrari 250 LM. Look at that, isn't it magnificent? Well, where do I start? 250 LM. Well, LM because it is a car that was made to race at Le Mans. Actually, interestingly, you might ask, it's a Ferrari. It's from the 1960s. Why is it yellow? Well, it was born red. It stayed red for a very short time because it was sold to Écurie Francorchamps in Belgium. And as we all know, the Belgian racing colors are yellow, so it was immediately painted to yellow for the Belgian national racing colors, and off they went to Le Mans in 1965. Pierre Dumais and Gustave Grosselin went to drive this car at Le Mans, and they were in the lead. They were going to win Le Mans in 1965 with this actual car until it had a tire blowout. Caused enough damage that they had to stop in the pits and make some repairs, and as a result, this is the car in front of you that came second at Le Mans in 1965, exactly as you see it here. You know, Ferrari actually was quite smart. He tried to homologate this car as a GT car, as an evolution of the 250 GTO, but the ACO then decided, no, you need to build more cars than just 20 or 30 cars. This is actually a whole new car. You can't say it's just an evolution. But he was very smart. and he named it a 250 LM, but technically it's a 275. Again, a bit of cheating because he had a bigger engine that no one was supposed to really know about. The 250 Le Mans from Écurie Francorchamps that came second at Le Mans in 1965.
Thank you, Max. From a very well-known private collector that has brought this car to Salon Privé. And the Barkway boys are looking after it, I believe, again. Our tour support yesterday, thank you. And please do take the class winner back to... we know who. Thank you very much. Please take this champagne as well. The Pommery champagne to go with it, Magnum.
Bottle of Pommery for the class winner. Well done, guys. Congratulations. Well earned. With a magnificent Ferrari 250 LM. Right, here we come with the next car, which I think is getting a little hot under the collar. Ferrari 195S is coming up on stage. This is the very first 195 that was ever produced. How about that? A little bit of Ferrari history, designed by Touring. It's getting a little hot, absolutely. If you want to stop for just a second, we'll get a quick picture, because I know you're getting a bit hot, so if you want to keep on going, as soon as you get the picture, I can keep talking later. Interesting that it was found in a barn where it was abandoned for like 40 years. Can you imagine? Just left and then fully restored. That beautiful touring shape that, again, looks like a little boat with a roof. You can keep on moving because I think you're going to get very hot. There's only 3 of these cars with this magnificent body style. Still a 12-cylinder Ferrari 2.4 liter. 1951. Brian Ross, again, all the way from Ohio, America. A fabulous restoration. How are you? Good to see you. Another Vignale body, the Ferrari 1951 212 Export Vignale body. It's like a little egg, isn't it? You can see it's fast just by looking at it. 212, well, it's a 12-cylinder front-engined Ferrari, 2.4 liter. It was called an export because the idea was that it was going to be sold for export. Ferrari designed this car to be sold all over the world and compete in competition all over the world, and it had great success. A 212 export like this one won the Tour de France, the Giro di Sicilia. It was a very competitive car. Ferrari was well known for extremely powerful engines and especially their durability. So here you've got a competition Ferrari that was built for racing and had great success.
Thank you, Max. And this has won its class. Mr. and Mrs. Ross, we're delighted. Brian and Kimberly, here you go. Congratulations, class winner. You are in the super final, guys. And here's your Magnum of Pommery to go home as well. Congratulations. Thank you for ringing.
Well done, well done, well done, well done. They do sound good. That crackle from the exhaust from the competition Ferraris are really quite special. And that two-tone color, which is so 1950s.
Yeah, no, it works.
Right. Well, very interesting that you've seen a 212 coupe, and here in front of you, you've got a 212 in cabriolet. Same body designer, but got the open top version. And there's some styling cues that you can see. The coupe had that same sort of bulge on the bonnet as this car does. Very signature rear lights for the 212 Cabriolet Vignale. Same chassis, same engine, but this for the gentleman driver. This for the, as we can see, demonstrated beautifully by Tim driving the car, that he's more of a gentleman driver who would, you know, go down the boulevards of Paris as opposed to going. And with his new mate, there we go. You guys make a great couple. Down the boulevards of Paris as opposed to racing. So it's all about the different body style, but still the same performance.
Thank you, Max. And you guys have won the honourable mention in your class. But Tim, I should just say, while we have Gabriele Lalli here, these were entered in the Ferrari Classiche class. Ferrari Classiche is a certification by the factory to state that this car has been restored back to its original as it left the production line back in the day. So Gabriele and his team, thank you for everything you do for the Ferrari brand and your Classiche team, and thank you for being with us again. Well done, congratulations, Tim.
Speaking of Ferrari and Ferrari Classiche and cars that have been restored to exactly as they left the factory, well, here we've got the Ferrari 250 GT Lusso by Scaglietti. Lusso, well, there was two types of 250 GT. There was the Berlinetta Competizione, the short wheelbase, as we know, which was a competition version, and the Lusso, which was, again, the more gentleman's cruiser version of the car. Same 12-cylinder engine, and this car is one of the very, very, very few factory black Ferrari 250 Lussos that's been restored immaculately to extreme precision by DK Engineering. And Tamer, who owns the car, was saying to me that this is, I think, the second time he's ever driven the car. So what a debut to buy yourself a Lusso. Before COVID, might I add. What is it, 3 years ago, 4 years, 3 years ago that you bought the car? And this is only the second time and his first time ever at a concours. So I think you should give you a round of applause because you've entered your Lusso first time ever and you've traveled a long way to get here. So congratulations on your factory black 250 GT Lusso. This is a car that likes of Steve McQueen in America would have had. And when you have time, have a look at the dashboard with all the instruments in the center of the dash. It is quite special. Tamara, thank you very much for bringing the car, and thank you for making the effort to get here from so far away.
And it's an interesting point, Max, as well. Look at that car as it leaves. It was called the most beautiful Ferrari that they have ever built. In any, perhaps, normal concours, that would have won its class. But the Ferrari Classiche cars, like all the other cars on the lawn here at Salon Privé, are of such a level that it got pipped by a couple of other beautiful cars.
Ferrari 275 GTS Grand Touring Spider. A very rare car, and especially rare in right-hand drive. Believe it or not, these cars were all ordered by the UK. Obviously, a right-hand drive Ferrari, you would think would be obviously delivered new to UK. They got here and they were immediately bought or shipped or sold to Chinetti, who was the importer for Ferrari in America. He converted them to 6 carburetors and sold them. I mean, I don't know why or how, I should say, he was able to sell a right-hand drive Ferrari in America, but I can tell you what, if you can sell a right-hand drive road car to an American, obviously they drive left-hand drive cars, you can sell ice to Eskimos. I am so impressed. Anyway, it then went around the world. I think it ended up in Australia at one point, and now back here with us here at Salon Privé. Very rare, the right-hand drive Ferrari 275 GTS. Thank you very much for bringing us the car. It's great to see you here. Well, we finished with Ferraris. Now, so, ladies and gentlemen, 1961 Jaguar E-Type Roadster. This is the 26th car produced, I think it is. Phew, I was worried about that. 26th car produced, but I cannot tell you how special this E-Type is. First of all, it was ordered, collected by Briggs Cunningham himself. And this is the car that he drove to Le Mans in 1961 as his road car. How cool is that? The first trip this car ever did was to go to Le Mans before being shipped to the United States. But that's just a little anecdote, because even more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, look at this car. It is, can I say, the most original, certainly one of, but I'll go for the most original Jaguar E-Type in existence. This is a reference car. This car is exactly as it left the factory. There have been books written about this car, and people have studied this car. Yes, believe it or not, studied it, because every detail on this car is correct. And it's the first time that it's been seen in public since the 1970s, I think it is, at a concours, right? Pretty much. First time, I mean, I'm sure it's been outside, but first time shown at a concours since the 1970s. So a real first here for Salon Privé, the most original car that's not been seen at a concours since the 1970s.
Thank you, Max. And a first indeed, the judges loved it. It's winner in its class of the Preservation Award. Congratulations, Dr. Christian Jenny, owner also of the Hanscom Jaguar. Thank you, and there is your magnet of Pommery Champagne to go with. Well done. Thank you, Christian.
Well done, gentlemen. a true reference car. You know, in our world they say a car is only original once. Once you restore it, you can never go back. Well, this one is still original. Now, speaking of original, next up is a 1967 Ford Shelby GT500. Now, you want to talk about totally original. Well, this car was found in America, in a barn, and it had been parked up since from 1986 to 2021. Just parked in a garage and not moved. I mean, look at this. It is super original. Never painted, never touched. The only thing that's been changed is the oil and the tires. Nothing else other than that. This is an example. And you know, for a Ford Shelby GT500 to be so original is quite rare, because often they get bought and modified and they'd add more power or they'd lower them. But for someone to have bought a car and never ever touched it in a garage from 1986 to 2021 is simply unheard of. Definitely one of the most original cars, and in our world, in the world of collected cars, I'm sure you'll agree, it'd be sacrilege to touch it. It's got to stay exactly the way it is. The only problem is you can't drive it in the rain. But apart from that, you can enjoy it because it's a sunny day today. We'll see what you do tomorrow. Thank you very much. Well done.
Thank you, James. Thank you for bringing it.
Back to the Ferraris. One of my favorites, the Ferrari Daytona 365 GTS for Daytona. This is the king of the road of the 1970s, certainly for me. V12, quad cam, dry sump, more carburetors than you can count. It guzzles fuel, but I can tell you what, it drives like a train. If you get Daytona on the motorway and you put your foot down, it is simply phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. It is a beast of a car to drive. It is so powerful, so fast. It is very exciting. Might not sound like a very fast car, but actually when you put your foot down, I was lucky enough to have one, and it is phenomenal. This is one of the very rare European specification Daytona Spiders. Obviously we all know a Daytona as a coupe, but there's only 122 maybe? Yes, 122 Ferrari Daytona Spiders, and of those some of the European spec, which is the most desirable version, and this one is super original. It was in the Dauphin collection from 1980 till you bought the car, and largely untouched. The king of the road, and on top of that, a Spider.
Thank you, Thierry. Congratulations with your honourable mention in the class, preservation, and talking of power, Max, under the engine. This, Nigel Matthews, our chief judge, can attest. He was driving with Thierry yesterday in the Tour, keeping up with the Rolls-Royce Ghost in front of it for about 80 miles of the Tour. So congratulations, Thierry. Thank you for bringing it once again.
Really interesting, it was actually sold new to Kuwait. I wrote the first owner's name, Sheikh Al-Fared Al-Sam Al-Sab Al-Shaba. Rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Off some.
Yeah. Right, next we've got the Lamborghini Islero. Not just any Islero, Islero S. So Lamborghini decided, Ferruccio Lamborghini, that he would name his cars after bulls. So Islero, yes, is also a bull who famously defeated or killed, unfortunately, one of Spain's most famous matadors in 1947. He was simply one of the best, and this bull went down in history as the strongest and survived this bullfight, and so went down in history. And Ferruccio Lamborghini decided to name his Islero, his GT car, his touring car, after that particular bull. So really interesting styling features on the Islero. It's got obviously a Lamborghini 12-cylinder engine, but notice the very high bumpers. I'm not quite sure how practical they are when parking, but one of my favorite things on the Islero that you might notice is on the sides, you'll see these ones are black, but there is a opening with some exhausts. Well, I'll have you know, ladies and gentlemen, they're fake. It's all for show. The car still goes, but the side exhausts there are purely a styling feature for this 2+2 Lamborghini Islero S, designed and styled by Touring of Milan. Thank you very much for bringing the Islero over.
Thank you, Max. And of course, Lamborghini celebrating their 60th anniversary this year, so this is number one of 5 Lamborghinis you're about to present.
Same era, same point in history. You saw the 2+2 Lamborghini, and now you see the one that everyone recognizes, the Miura, the P400 Miura S. Yes, we all love the Miura, considered to be and known to be the very first supercar ever built. This is where it all started. Now we've moved on to hypercars. It's the next level, but this was the very first supercar. Now think about this, in 1970, you saw the Daytona, how tall it was, how far the engine was in the front. Look at how low and sleek the Miura was, mid-engine. It was a completely new design, and imagine, it was designed without Ferruccio Lamborghini's consent. It was sort of a skunk works project. Lamborghini didn't think that this would ever, Ferruccio didn't think that this would ever work, but his designers, Bob Wallace, decided we can make a supercar, and they designed it late at night and on weekends. One of the most beautiful cars that you'll ever see, and in this lime green, does it get any more 70s than that?
Absolutely, no surprise, the judges love this car as well. Please accept your trophy, the honourable mention in the Lamborghini 60th anniversary class. Congratulations, Richard. Thank you once again for bringing it. Well done.
Quite a sweet story that Richard had this car restored at the Lamborghini factory, and it took a painful 2 years, but he took delivery on the 31st of March 2020, which was exactly 50 years to the date when this car left the factory the first time. Nice little story. Well done. Congratulations on the car and the restoration. Lamborghini Urraco. When you say Lamborghini and practical, those two words don't really go together. However, they gave it a shot. This was supposed to be Lamborghini's answer to the 911 in the 1970s. Yes, believe it or not, it is a 2+2. It's sort of, we like to nickname it the Little Bull. It was supposed to be slightly cheaper and a little bit more practical, directed at Porsche. They wanted to go head-to-head with Porsche. Ferruccio Lamborghini, it wasn't enough for him to go head-to-head with Ferrari. He also wanted to take on the brand of Porsche. Unfortunately, as you can imagine, or as you can see, there are millions of Porsches, not so many Lamborghini Urracos in the world. Having said that, not so successful at the time, but now quite a rare car and a delight to see. I have to say, the Bertone styling, I think, is fantastic, and to squeeze 2 seats in a mid-engine car is never an easy feat. They did a great job. Thank you very much for bringing your Urraco P250S. Thank you, gentlemen. Moving to the ages, Countach. 5000 QV. How cool is this car? I had a big debate whether the Countach looks better with the wing or without the wing. Are you more of a wing man or no?
I'm a with, Max.
You're a wing man? You are quite sort of show-offy, aren't you? I was going to go with no wing, but anyway, the Countach, it stayed in production for a huge amount of time, but look at that Bertone design. When you drive it, look at that windscreen. Have you seen a car with a flatter, windscreen? And have you seen a car with the least practical window? It only goes down about, there we go, you can see the window is actually horrendous. It's unbelievable. But apart from that, you know, when you want to look cool, you got to make some sacrifices. And I can tell you, to me, this is one of the coolest cars on the road. Believe it or not, it's actually quite easy to drive. It's actually almost practical. It is super fast. It's not so easy to get in and out. Can you demonstrate the door opening mechanism? There we go. Doesn't that say Lamborghini? Look at this. Both doors up, and now we can't go anywhere. That, to me, is 1980s Lamborghini at its best. With the wing, without the wing, this is the QV, so one of the more powerful variants of the Countach. It stayed in production for a long time, from the Periscope all the way to the anniversary edition. The supercar, maybe not so much for performance, but for show-offness. Thank you very much for bringing the car. Thank you to Chris.
Absolutely. Beautiful restoration by Furlonger, guys. Congratulations, and thank you, Chris, for bringing it. Thank you.
Thank you for the guys from Furlonger to bring the car over. Look at those telephone dial wheels. Super cool. Diablo. Imagine, this is true Italian style, and this is the evolution from the Countach, and same sort of door operation, and in true Italian style, like absolutely true Italian style. It's got the wings, it's got the doors that go up, it's got a ton of, there we go, thank you gentlemen, it's got a ton of power. I mean, listen to this, a Diablo will go up to 70 miles an hour in first gear, and it'll do 120 miles an hour in second gear if you are brave. This car was the car that was presented at the motor show in the UK, and this dazzling red, and believe it or not, they decided it was a bit too outlandish and they never made it. So this is the only one finished in this shade of red, and they've got everything with it. They've got the suitcases, they've got the books, they've got an agenda, I think a diary from the year it was produced. They've even got the period correct keychain. Collectors to the maximum. It doesn't get any better than that. Well done, boys.
And you've won your class, guys, here. So congratulations on the class winner in the Lamborghini 60th anniversary class. Mark, I know you are an amazing ambassador of Lamborghini and a huge collector, so congratulations to you.
Moving on, we've done the 60th anniversary of Lamborghini. We're going on to the Porsche 356 class. Yep, this is where it all began for Porsche. And here, right in front of you, it is a 356 Pre-A. So this is one of the very, very first 356s. As you know, Ferdinand Porsche was working or designing at Volkswagen, so you can definitely see a similarity between the Beetle and the early Porsches, but this was where it all started. Notice the rounded shape. Look at the V windscreen, a very particular feature of the 356s. Still, that air-cooled 4-cylinder engine in the back of the car, which is, oh, there's obviously someone that likes your car. Something that Porsche has stuck to over time, still having the engine in the back with the 911s. A mere 4 owners since 1955 for this car. Restored, I think, by you. You restored it yourself. Hard work, I imagine. A few years of your life. 9 years of his life, ladies and gentlemen, restoring his own car. Fred, that deserves a round of applause. 9 years of hard work to get here, and the judges are obviously appreciating.
And can I just say, Max, this is the wonderful world we live in. Last night, there was a different Pre-A here, entered by a guy called Fred Hampton. Phil Parry then got a phone call yesterday afternoon. We asked him to stand in, not knowing what Phil was going to turn up with. We knew it was a Pre-A. We didn't quite know it was a Pre-A of this caliber. 9 years in the restoration of Phil himself. He got it here about 2300 last night, and you have now won your class today, Phil. So we are delighted for you. Huge round of applause. Congratulations to you. What a crazy world we live in. A phone call last night, delivered at 2300 last night, and now he walks off as class winner. Well done.
Well done, congratulations. Next in the lineup of Porsches. So you saw early 50s and 9 years of his life restoring the car. Here we're on to late 1950s. This is still an A, but notice how the change in the windscreen, and can you see how the shape of the car has evolved over time? It's starting to look more, let's say, a little bit more angular, still very round, but not quite as a 50s design. And this one is quite special. This is a Carrera, so this has the 4-cam engine. This is the 356 that was built to go racing. I told you earlier how it got the nickname, the Carrera, when it did so well. It was a giant killer at the Carrera Panamericana, and that name stuck for the 356s, and as well as the 911s. Notice the center fuel filler cap so that you could, during a race, you didn't have to open the bonnet to fill up. You would just take the cap off and fill up. And notice the very special center lock Rudge wheels. That is a superb little detail on your GS Coupe. Thank you very much for bringing your Carrera GS Coupe Porsche 356. Yep, absolutely. Porsche 356 SC, right-hand drive. You know what? Actually, very, very rare to find a 356 sky blue. This is the best driving of all the 356s, and it was actually not very popular. It was very difficult to sell. You see, when the 356 SC was here being sold in the UK, Porsche had already launched the 911, so nobody, or hardly anyone, was going to buy the old model. Didn't have as much power, it didn't go as fast, it looked a bit antiquated, but they sold them all anyway, and this is by far the best driving 356 of them all.
Thank you, Max. Judges loved it as well. Just collect your award here, the honourable mention in Class J, Porsche 356, where it all began. Well done, congratulations. Thank you for ringing us, Steve.
Well done. Sky blue is the colour. I quite like that one. Countach, we're on to the supercar icons. Well, I told you, the Lamborghini Miura was the very first supercar. The Countach is the next supercar. Well, you saw the other Countach. This is the very last in the line of the Countach. It was called the 25th anniversary car. See, Chrysler at this point assumed control of Lamborghini, and they were hoping that they could launch the new Diablo, but it wasn't ready in time, is the true fact. So what did they do? They thought, I know, we'll just redesign and reimagine the Countach and call it a 25th anniversary for the 25th birthday of the marque. Well, here it is. This is the 25th anniversary special edition 1990 Lamborghini Countach. He likes spending time here. Thank you very much for bringing the car. Restored by none other than Valentino Balboni, the test driver at Lamborghini. XJ220, fastest production car in the world when it was new. And this is the very first XJ220 to ever have come off the production line. I mean, how special is that? Still with the first owner, the Lodes family, who also happened to be the owner of Abbey Panels, and Abbey Panels were the people that made the bodies for this car. So, history has it that Tom Walkinshaw said, we need to sell this, and who's the first person to receive a XJ220? I'm going to get the guy that makes the body for them to take the first car, then I know he'll make the body right for all the other ones. And so that's what happened, and they've kept the car all this time, 14,000 miles, the very first XJ220 to ever be produced, and the fastest car in the world when new.
Thank you, Max. And Mason, congratulations. You have won your class here. Supercar Icons pre-2000. Well done, guys. Thank you for bringing her.
Thank you very much. Two more cars up. We've got a super rare car, the 1999 Ascari Ecos. How about this for a story? There's a very wealthy Dutch businessman called Klaus Zwart, and he couldn't stomach buying the McLaren F1. It was just too much money. He couldn't bring himself to buy and spend all that money. So what did he do? He raced in Ascari, so he just bought the whole company. I mean, why not? And he decided then to start building road cars for or with the Ascari brand. And the Ecos was the first road-going version of the FGT GT1 racer that Zwart had raced. So, how about that? Just 17 of these Ecoses are ever built, and this is one of the two Ecoses with a manual sequential gearbox to use on the road. Klaus Zwart is still around. He still owns the company. Doesn't make any cars anymore, but I thought it was brilliant. I can't stomach the bill for a McLaren F1. I've just won a race in an Ascari, so I'll just buy the company for myself.
As you do, Max. Honourable mention here, this did the tour again yesterday. Well done, Neil. You're a winner here at Salon Privé. Thank you very much for bringing her. Well done. Thank you.
That's good.
And ladies and gentlemen, to finish in absolute style, one of my very, very, very favorite Ferrari Enzos. This is a car that I know pretty well. Imagine the first owner ordered it in this color with a very special blue interior. He ordered it in Paris, took delivery in Paris, drove to Saint-Tropez on temporary plates, and pretty much never drove it again until he sold it to the current owner. One of the most special Enzos in grigio alloy, a beautiful color, and with blue interior. The best looking Enzo, if I can say so myself. Well done, boys. Good job.
Thanks. You're not the only one to think that either. The judges loved it, guys. You won your class, Ben. Thank you very much, and well done. And here is your
Bottle of Pommery.
Magnum champagne to go with. There you go. Congratulations, guys.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, there is one more car for you to see, or actually, should I say, there is one more car for you to listen to. I don't think, was this in the, did the Formula One car get judged?
It did indeed.
It did get judged as well.
Hypercars 1989 Ferrari 640. This is the very car. So let's have a little chat with Matt, shall we? Matt, here you go.
So Simon Furlonger has very kindly lent us the car. Matt, you're here looking after it, babysitting it. You're looking a bit worried there.
All good.
You're all good? Okay, just checking. So, this is a actual car that Berger drove in the 1989 season. I think it was 6 Grand Prix, was it?
6 Grand Prix, yeah. USA, Canada, Mexico, England, Germany, and then it sat at France, didn't race at France.
It almost sounds like a high mileage Ferrari Formula One car, if there's such a thing.
They tried to devalue it already, come on.
So, 1989, what engine were they running at that time?
So this is 3.5 litre V12. It's the first sequential paddle shift.
Ah, yes, I remember. So let me get this right. So in the beginning of the season, it was a manual sequential, wasn't it?
So Mansell actually started the season in a 640 with the paddles, but Berger started with a 639 with a manual gearbox.
Obviously, Berger was more of a man at the time, and he was more hardcore, and he wanted a gearbox. Right, so...
You said it, but I mean...
But there was a good story with this, isn't it? Because then they decided that it was okay to upgrade, or good thing that Berger was upgraded to the paddle shift, wasn't he?
Well, basically, Berger had quite a bad crash in Imola in his 639, and it caught fire. So they decided, they couldn't repair the car, and they gave him a 640, and he had quite badly burnt hands. So because he had badly burnt hands, the paddles actually made sense. And he qualified really well, but this was the season that Ferrari had really bad reliability issues. So the cars were really quick, but didn't qualify very well. But, it is one of the last V12 Ferrari Formula One cars, which is pretty iconic.
I mean, V12, Ferrari, and Formula One, that's about as iconic as it gets. Now, it looks like you're doing a quick restoration on the car. Your guys are doing a quick restoration. Are we gonna do an engine change? Are we just doing a quick pit stop? Or are we gonna rebuild the engine? Is it gonna do a time lapse of the engine rebuild on the car?
No. So I mean, obviously it's safer to run it in the air because you don't want it to slip into gear. That could be quite an entertaining thing, but maybe not the thing we want. So what the guys are doing at the moment is they're going to just lift it up front and back so it's off the ground. You've got these little stands that will go underneath. Then they'll crank it 2 or 3 times just to get oil pressure. And then you connect the fuel pump, and actually you'll see Chris in a minute squirt some petrol with some additive in it just down the combustion chambers, and then she'll fire.
So you're gonna fire it up right here in front of all of us right now?
Yes, I'm going to stand over there though.
I was going to say, that you supply furlonger earplugs as well?
Joe has got earplugs, yeah, because if he...
What about all the nice people in the front row? What about them?
Well, that's their choice, I guess, yeah.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, the boys from Furlonger are actually going to fire up the Ferrari Formula One car here in front of you. And I know we all laugh and we say it's your choice, but when it does fire up, I would definitely cover your ears. I've got to say, it's pretty impressive that you can just bring a car up on stage like this and fire it up. However, I would say that the Ferrari F1 team seem to do it quicker than you guys do it.
Yeah, again, yeah. I mean, it is a bit of a careful practice. 30 years old now, so we've got to take care of it. It's one of the last cars as well that doesn't need a computer, doesn't need preheaters. So it's literally when Chris gets it started, he'll run it for probably a minute and a half to get it to 70 degrees. And once it's at that temperature, then you can start revving it. Red line is 15,000, I think.
15,000 RPM. No, I say jokingly that Ferrari F1 team can do it, but I've got to say, it's pretty amazing that you guys have the capabilities and the know-how to start a Ferrari Formula One car here on stage.
Could have said that once we've started it, rather than now when there's that.
No, I've got to give you credit, you guys. It's pretty impressive. I mean, I can see the amount of phones and cameras going up, and if anyone can hear us and you're around anywhere, I can see Keith Blumel sprinting towards you because he definitely wants to see the car or hear the car running. But I've got to take my hat off to you guys. It's phenomenal that you brought the car here, and it's phenomenal that you're going to start it up for us in front of everyone. No pressure. As you say, she's an old lady, so you don't want to make any wrong moves or foul some plugs. And to be fair, normally there is a team of 30 red mechanics doing this. So now we just wait for the car to come up to temperature. As Matt said to us, we've got to reach 70 degrees before we're allowed to actually rev the car.
And then you connect the fuel pump, and actually you'll see Chris in a minute squirt some petrol with some additive in it just down the combustion chambers, and then she'll fire.
So you're going to fire it up right here in front of all of us right now?
Yes, I'm going to stand over there though.
I was going to say that you supply furlonger earplugs as well.
Joe has got earplugs, yeah, because if he...
What about all the nice people in the front row? What about them?
Well, that's their choice, I guess, yeah.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, the boys from Furlonger are actually going to fire up the Ferrari Formula One car here in front of you. And I know we all laugh and we say it's your choice, but when it does fire up, I would definitely cover your ears. I've got to say, it's pretty impressive that you can just bring a car up on stage like this and fire it up. However, I would say that the Ferrari F1 team seem to do it quicker than you guys do it.
Yeah, again, yeah. I mean, it is a bit of a careful practice. 30 years old now, so we've got to take care of it. It's one of the last cars as well that doesn't need a computer, doesn't need preheaters. So it's literally when Chris gets it started, he'll run it for probably a minute and a half to get it to 70 degrees. And once it's at that temperature, then you can start revving it. Red line is 15,000, I think.
15,000 RPM. No, I say jokingly that Ferrari F1 team can do it, but I've got to say, it's pretty amazing that you guys have the capabilities and the know-how to start a Ferrari Formula One car here
Couldn't you
on
have said
stage.
that once we've started it, rather than now when there's added
No,
pressure?
I've got to give you credit, you guys. It's pretty impressive. I mean, I can see the amount of phones and cameras going up, and if anyone can hear us and you're around anywhere, I can see Keith Blumel sprinting towards you because he definitely wants to see the car or hear the car running. But I got to take my hat off to you guys. It's phenomenal that you brought the car here, and it's phenomenal that you're going to start it up for us in front of everyone. No pressure. As you say, she's an old lady, so you don't want to make any wrong moves or foul some plugs. And to be fair, normally there is a team of 30 red mechanics doing this. So now we just wait for the car to come up to temperature. As Matt said to us, we've got to reach 70 degrees before we're allowed to actually rev the car. I think we have to give a massive thank you to Simon Furlonger, the team at Furlonger, and Matt for bringing the car, telling us about it, and looking after us. Because it's not every day that someone fires up a 12-cylinder Ferrari Formula 1 car. So Matt, please pass our thanks to Simon Furlonger, and thank you boys from Furlongers. It's amazing. Thank you.
Absolutely. The first classic F1 we've had here at Salon Privé. No surprise, it's won its class, Matt. Would you believe? Congratulations, you.
And you get a Buffalo Pommery as well.
Thank you, Matt. Right, ladies and gentlemen, bang on time, 4 o'clock. That's pretty good going. English afternoon tea now for the next hour. And we hope you've had a wonderful day. That's all of the concours classes that we've gone through. 13 class winners will now go to the super final, where if you check on Instagram or Facebook tomorrow, you'll see which car is crowned the Salon Privé Concours Best of Show 2023, presented by Aviva. Max, thank you very much as ever.
Always a pleasure and great fun. Thank you for having me back.
And to our judges as well, thank you so much. Go and enjoy tea. Thank you.